Sweet. This is the Levels Network. I'm Justin Horo, joined by my man, the Juju, Mitchy Pearce. Firstly, just like to let everyone know straight off the bat, the big fella, Triple OG, getting surgery on his strong hand. He's got the old pinky injury, you know, the dislocated finger that goes sideways. You know, a lot of the boys have got them.
Yeah. Fletcher's got the worst.
Yeah, Fletcher's got a bad one.
It's out here.
Yeah, Fletcher's is putrid. Mace got his done this morning, and we're just waiting to get a text back from the big fella to let us know that he's doing okay. But my man Drew coming in of Sixes and Sevens fame. Thanks for joining us again, brother. Got a really good reception last year when you come in and did some stuff with us. So stoked to have you back in, mate.
Thanks for having me, Hoz. It's always a pleasure helping you out as a mate.
Yep.
And, let's talk some shit.
Let's get into it. Let's start with what you're doing at the moment, mate. Remember, just a little bit into Piercy, because they're very sensitive, these microphones. Sixes and Sevens, mate. 2 episodes in. I've watched both of them. Ted's been texting even before we even had a chat about coming on the potty again. Got a relationship with both you and Toddy, so I'm excited to see your guys' journey with it. How's it been the first couple episodes, and how are you finding sort of this new form of media? Because you've done Triple M before, but now it's just you two. It's you and Toddy. Yeah,
it's been enjoyable, and I've appreciated the conversations with you, Hoz, getting behind us. But yeah, 6 and 7s, if you haven't watched it, it's a footy talk podcast. Obviously 6 and 7s, me and Todd both playing in those positions, and we did a bit of stuff with Triple M, a little bit of media in our own right over the last sort of 18 months since we finished up with footy, or since I finished up with footy. And we wanted to link up with the Hello Sports boys and put
good
a bit
boys.
of
Good friends of the
champions.
show. Yeah, we do a lot of stuff with the boys.
Yeah, so they've been really good. They approached the relationship. Toddy had a conversation with them at a golf day, I think, and they were interested to link up and do our footy content off it, and hopefully it can expand into sort of lifestyle stuff and everything like that as well. But I don't know, mate. That or it'll flop. We'll see how we go.
It's weird for to even be sort of trying to critique you guys with your footy background. But a few things that I said to you, but you will do really well. Like, you're really good in that space. The one thing that I can, for our audience, if they haven't gone over and had to have a watch of it, and this is what I said to both you and Toddy, knowing you two guys, for me, it just felt like you guys would have that conversation regardless if the cameras were there. And I reckon that's the most authentic way to be.
Yep.
And I know you two guys are footy heads. And there are plenty stories that you had off the field. Now you're in a different journey now, which is good, and it'll probably branch into something. I'm excited to see how the journey goes, mate.
Thank you, mate. 6 and 7s, check it out.
6 and 7s, go over and jump it on. So it's on the Hello Sports channel at the moment.
On YouTube. On Spotify, on all the...
all platforms.
All platforms, but I've been just going on YouTube. It's probably the easiest access. Hello Sports, and our 2 episodes pop up.
Have you been going in and filming the episodes with the boys at the studio?
Yep. So Toddy's based out of Queensland. He lives up there now. But I'm in the studio with the Hello Sports boys. Obviously we're new to the podcast game, and we've got some pretty good leaders there and good role models. So
what's the footy chat and the shape chat like? Because we've got a really good relationship with the boys, and we've had some really good times. Have they been talking a lot of footy with you? Are they trying to get the ins and outs and with the relationship at the moment? Because every time we sort of go in there, and especially when Mace is in there, the big fella just starts talking about, we've got this joke talking about shape all the time and running shape.
Yeah.
Having you two guys, they must just be frothing having you and Toddy doing some stuff with them.
Yeah, so obviously just the 2 episodes, as I said, but obviously the relationship will keep building, and hopefully add some layers to the show. But yeah, look, talking footy and shapes and breaking down teams is obviously comes natural to me and Toddy. We enjoy doing it. We're great mates, so that helps the chemistry of the show. And it's all happened a bit pretty organic, and hopefully people are interested to listen, and we can take off and follow your lead. If we can get anywhere near the Levels show, we'll be happy.
Well, you can take the next level, because I reckon you're going to go to the next level. You're going to go surpass us, mate. I'm excited to see, and let's get into our version of it, mate. There might be some stuff that you're not familiar with. We rely on our community to come up with a lot of the stuff, and we'll get some questions. We get some replies from the last episode. So if you're not totally across it, I have sent you a bit of a brief on sort of what it would look like. We talked about there's been a lot of chat in footy and in our audience about the names on jerseys. I want to get your take on that. We also had big Christian Welch retired.
Yeah.
That's one of the main stories. Ronaldo Mulatalo extends at the Sharks. We're going to chat All-Stars. Now, I'm hearing rumours about the future of All-Stars, which we'll delve into a little bit, and then we'll talk. We've got pre-season week 2 as well, so we'll go through some of the more important ins, and I also want to get your take on what pre-season games meant to you. How many games was the ideal amount of games for you to play, and how many minutes, and what you're looking to get out of pre-season games as we get down a little bit later. All right, but let's kick it off with our audience. This one, 5 minutes. That's Big Mace as well. This one comes from Justin Morrill. Boys, got to say, I rate the sneak peek clips at the start of the potty. Absolutely killing it. Keep them coming. And I'm keen for you guys to get the run club going. Shout out to Lukey. I've seen that at the start of the last episode. Is that the first episode? Because I hadn't seen that before.
Yeah, we got competition now, so you need to up the ante.
Well, yeah, he's up in the ante.
Well, there was a motive getting me on here.
You're applying pressure, mate, and Lukey's having to just add little wrinkles to our podcast.
Keep your enemies close.
Yeah. It was a really nice wrinkle. I agree, Justin. I liked it as well.
I'll sniff a rat.
And mate, we'll get the run club back with our partners at Red Bull here. Going to be involved heavily again in the City to Surf. So leading up to the City to Surf, we'll get a bit of a run club going. Maybe a month out.
When's that on?
City to Surf is August the 14th. It's my mum's birthday. That's why I remember it every year. Yeah.
Did you do it last year?
I've done it 3 years in a row now. Yeah.
14 Ks.
Yeah. You had to pull out last minute for some reason.
Me and Toddy were actually going to do it.
Yeah. Did you get a gigs?
I had, mate, to be honest, you're testing my mind now. I can't remember exactly what I had on.
You were out of state. I remember that because we were going to do it. You were going to come join me and Louis, and then you ended up going out of state for a gig somewhere.
That's right. No, I was in Queensland. You're right.
Yeah, so you were in Queensland.
School up there with Toddy. But I'd love to do it. I did it when I was younger. I did it when I was about 15.
Oh, did you?
Early days.
Do you remember the time? Like you
can't remember the time, yeah.
Well, the next year.
3 hours.
You were 16 when you started 20s with us at the Roosters?
Yeah.
It's actually the 10th this year.
Oh, it's the 10th. There you go. So it's fallen on the 14th. My mum did it on her birthday one year, which was pretty cool for our family. Yeah, my brother did it with her while I was overseas. While I was at Cadlands, actually.
There you go.
Yeah, got pictures, and that didn't make me miss home at all.
Yeah, 100%. Sitting in Canada.
This one comes from Wilbo Baggins. Great potty as always, boys. Shout out for listening to opposing views and having the ability to think critically and change your minds. Drew, that's a big part of it as well. And to sort of not to knock any of the other forms of media, but I think in this space, having the ability to go, you know what, have a take, and then a couple of weeks later, for whatever reason, it might slightly differ, or you might change your opinion on a certain thing. Mine was on one of the rule changes. That's what they're alluding to off the last episode, Piercey. But I don't know. That's one thing I think that the new media do probably a little bit better, rather than sort of digging your heels in and being stubborn, which they can be like in some of the mainstream in the past.
Yeah,
Do you know what I mean by that?
Yeah, well, it's a different. Well, obviously you can relax a little bit when you're on podcasts, can't you? And give a bit more truth. Sometimes mainstream media is a bit more calculated, isn't it? And you have less time to probably expand on what you're trying to say.
Yeah, that's a big part of it.
To an extent. But you can also get a little bit too loose on these things, I think.
And I think that's the biggest part for that you're going to try to navigate nice and early with you and Toddy, because I know like I said, you're on a different journey now, but we've had some good times over the years.
We've got a tendency to be loose.
Mate, you've got to keep it nice. You've still got to get those nice little. There's some good little bits that you can unveil to your audience for sure. This one comes from Damaso. This guy messaged us last episode, Piercey, and he wanted us to change our name to the Shouty Boys off the back of his partner calling us the Shouty Boys when they listen to the podcast. It's a bit of feedback, like a little bit of fun feedback from one of our listeners. We were sort of asking, he talked about his culture and where they're from. So they come from, this is from Damas. My family is a Samoan, Cook Island, Polynesian background, and we usually as a family do not swear at all, even in our own language. It would only happen if we are extremely angry. I've been told off for listening to the potty. So yes, sometimes it's with my headphones. Also, when I was younger, if I would swear, I'd get my ears slapped because swearing is just a no-go in our culture. Some of my Kiwi and Aussie classmates and workmates would swear casually, and he sort of picked it up. And I guess we can relate to this too, Piercey. Like growing up, like me and Mace can get a bit loose, like with podcasting. We've definitely tightened it up. We try to improve. We also understand that there is, young kids that listen to our podcast as well. So we've tried to be a little better. We try to stay
Mace
authentic.
doesn't swear, does he?
We try to stay authentic as possible, but you will be able to, I guess, relate to being in a locker room with Pacific Islander boys and how culturally different they are with their upbringings and how they can be early on. Like when they first get in a locker room, a lot more reserved, a lot quieter, take a little bit longer to, feel comfortable, exchanging stories. Whereas like
sharing their undies.
Yeah, sharing in the undies. But I remember like when you first got there early on and you Kiwis, Aussies, not too dissimilar, where we just like, it's almost you try to throw yourself straight into it.
Yes.
And that's the beauty of rugby league and relationships and I think cultures and where we are now as a game, 50% Polynesian in influence in the...
Well, the best thing about it is like you look back on your career and I've got so many mates from all different cultures, Aboriginal, white, Islander, playing overseas, French. So like without that opportunity to play footy and be in the sheds, there wouldn't be that many other opportunities. The way I grew up, I'm a white bloke. Most of my mates, I had different coloured mates growing up, but footy gets you this exposure to just all these different cultures from a young age. Yeah. That's the best.
Another space to watch, mate, and this has been, I guess, started in the last couple of weeks. I don't know if you're across it, but the Bulldogs are looking as a part of their bid moving forward to represent the Bulldogs, the NRL in Vegas, getting names on their jerseys. Don't know if you've seen the chat on it. Just firstly, before we get into some of the replies, what is your thoughts? Would you have loved to seen have a 7 Pierce jersey? What number did you have at Catalans? Did you have 7 over there?
6 the first year.
Yep.
Josh Drinkwater was there, who's a really good player over in Super League.
Yep.
And Drinky was the 7. He didn't want to give it up.
Brother of Scott?
Scotty, yeah.
Yep.
Shout out to Drinky. He's still over there playing. He's been to about 15 clubs. He's still over there in the second division. Really good player.
I seen him at Ravisi's just before he's getting on the plane to head back over to Warrington, actually.
There you go.
Yeah.
Shout out Drinky. He'll like that.
Yeah.
But he had the 7 jersey, so I was 6 the first year.
Yeah.
But mate, I love the concept.
Yeah.
I think I read, I don't know if it was on your show or something popped up the other day around, it doesn't make sense. Like that everyone overseas is doing it and the amount of money that's going into the game and the branding, that it's only natural that players have their name on the back. It's their brand. It's who they are. The only risk with that is the difference is in Super League, you stick to the same jerseys the whole year. So like if if you're 15, you come in as the 7 to replace me, you wear 15.
Yep.
That's the difference in our jerseys.
Just for that season. You can earn the right to get it the following season, and they redo it, which I like as well. I like that concept.
What do you mean by that?
Like, so for example, your first year, you go in there at 6.
Yeah.
And then once a full new season, like once you go from 25 to season 25 to season 26, then you get the opportunity to either be given that jersey by the club, or if players move on, then a jersey might be vacated.
But you stick to the same one all year.
I still like keeping to the traditional jerseys. I wouldn't like it to go full NFL, NBA willy-nilly where you could just go 33 or 77 for Luka Doncic, for example. I'd still like the jerseys to be in order the traditional way, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, exactly like the Super League do it. And then, for example,
cool though, doesn't it? Like if it's your jersey.
Yeah.
I know Sammy Tompkins over there is he's a legend in the English game and legend in France there. He wears 27, I think.
Yes, because that was his first jersey. He got there late, didn't he?
So that was his first jersey, and they market it well over there. Like it's good, and it sticks on your mind when a player's got that same consistent jersey. I like it, and like I said, with the way the game is now and personal branding, it's only going to happen sooner or later.
All right. Here are some of the replies from some of our audience about this when we're talking about it. And this will probably be the end of it now. We'll spend a couple episodes. But Bart Colin, this one comes from Bart Colin. The way for both the NRL and the players to really make money on the jersey sales would be the NRL to acquire a print-on-demand service. Just buy or even create such a service. And then when I go to the website, as a North Queensland Cowboys fan, I can choose the name and the number I want, and bang, with a few clicks of the mouse and taps on my keyboard, I have exactly what I want. Custom made just for me. Number 1 jersey with Matty Bowen on it. That way, the jerseys are only printed as needed, so you don't have to have a whole heap of stock of jerseys sitting in a Rebel or a Peter Wins or whatever it may be and not selling.
Peter Wins.
Peter Wins, yeah.
That's still going?
Well, that's where I started, mate. That's where the journey started for me.
You
Peter
were working
Wins.
there?
Yeah, worked at Peter Wins growing up. Shout out to Pete, and I was good mates with his son, Tim.
Yeah.
The sales...
You got 4...
2 boys.
2 boys, yeah.
2 boys, 2 girls, yeah. So you could track jerseys and even retro jerseys. So your good mate, Maroon's halfback Jonathan Thurston, number 7 jersey, that can be self-designed with minimal fuss, and fans can get whatever they want. What happens to businesses and capitalist societies which give their customers exactly what they want? They make money. Great comment there from Bart. I totally agree with it. I think that's a good system. We'd never really talked about that aspect of, printing a whole heap of them and then therefore Justin Horo 12 jersey doesn't sell as well as a Mitchell Pearce 7 jersey, and you get stuck with a whole heap of jerseys. I think that's the system, and that's where I think worked. Have you got something on that, Luke?
Yeah, that's what like kitbag.com or like the Premier League. They just have blank stock and then they just print it.
Exactly.
So that's exactly how.
Yeah, good shout. This one comes from Sphinx OG. Just to add to the picking of your number on the jersey, in Formula 1, every driver picks a number every driver picks a number, but the number 1 can only be chosen by the previous year's champion. So if he chooses to switch to number 1. For example, Max Verstappen has been the 3-time drivers' champion in the last 3 years and has changed his number from 33 to 1 when he won his first championship. But on the other hand, we had Lewis Hamilton, who won 7 drivers' championships, and he always stuck with 44. So a bit like your man Tompkins.
Lucky 44.
Didn't change to 1 because Sammy was there for 3 or 4 years. Yeah. But, once you get that jersey, it might be a little bit more appealing to stick to it.
Kobe and Jordan and they all stuck to the same number, didn't they? And it's what you remember them for. So it's got some merit in sticking to the same one. As I said, it's your personal brand. Yeah. You win those titles in a certain number. It's sort of, every year you win the trophy, it just keeps coming up.
Players can
sticks
be
on your brain, I reckon.
Superstitious too.
Or even just from a marketing point of view, it sticks on your brain.
Yeah. This one comes from James Gozza, L1 from day one. Love the show, lads. Going back to the jersey conversation for those that want to make extra coin but aren't stars, it would incentivize them to build their personal brands, which in itself could help spread the game to a further audience. You could see players improve their social media content or even YouTube channel presence. There you go. There's a shout on. You would have missed this. So on with Mace, I was talking about how there could be like this model and this bringing jerseys in would definitely benefit the top tier players because they would get a large chunk. They would get a much larger chunk of the revenue that is made from it by putting players' jerseys in, and then there might be just a couple of, I suppose, jealous role players or journeymen that wouldn't make much money off jersey sales as all. So,
but that's just part and parcel of
exactly
life.
Yep.
No one can expect to get what Nathan Cleary is getting if they're not bringing in the same stuff. But who gets it? Did the NRL benefit off that as well? We'll
see. This is what we discussed. We had a comment on it on the last episode about this is why I think the NRL being reluctant, because then once you start getting the metrics and the data behind it, then the players have more negotiating power.
RPA.
Yeah. So that's what I reckon has been a huge part of why it hasn't been done in the past. It's got to make, I think, for this to move forward, and I think with all the momentum building, I even seen Andrew Abdo was on Jammer's podcast, The Buy Round, and they talked about he's having a conversation about it. So therefore, I think it's very close, and they must realise that even though they'd have to give a little chunk to players, which they've probably been reluctant to sort of get all that data out there, they must envision it making so much money to make sense that therefore, if they are given the clip, I think it's going to go forward. So
yes, yeah.
Yep, that's it. Before we move on, we can save that. I was just going to go through some of the players from each team with you. Me and Mace sort of did some of the players that would hit a little bit more than others, but we can save that for Big Mace when he gets back. This one comes from Tamati Young. This is a YouTube question. Hey, lads, L1 from day one. Regarding the HIA chat, I'm involved with the Super Rugby here in Perth, and I know the whole Super Rugby comp has implemented Safeguard MouthGuard technology, Prevent Biometrics, that was developed in conjunction with the US Defence Force to measure blunt force trauma and alert the sideline doc via an app. The sideline doc has the power to remove the player and does a HIA assessment with them there. This is the first season it will be in full use. by all teams, but might be a future implementation for the NRL. And then he goes on to talk about the jerseys again. But that's quite a. Have you heard much about this at all?
Keep
Lukey?
going. I'm just going to read on it.
Have you heard anything like this before, Piercy?
Concussions.
Yeah, the concussions with the HIA and having some sort of like mouthguard detection.
I've heard it might have been when I was in Super League, but I'm pretty sure it might have been the last year in NRL.
Yeah,
that the mouth guards were getting given out to the players with measurements on them.
There you go.
Might have been Super League.
Yep.
Tested me now. I definitely had it in Catalans.
Yep.
But I think maybe my last year at Newcastle I had them as well.
Okay.
And it was an option.
Yep.
Where the Catalans one, I'm pretty sure my last year everyone had to wear them.
So you were gifted, gifted them early on, and then
It had data in the mouth guard.
That's interesting.
So it went off impacts and everything like that.
Yeah.
So I can only assume if Super League are doing it with less money in the game that...
Super Rugby.
No, this is in Super League.
Okay, yeah,
I'm
yeah.
saying that if they're doing it over there, I was assuming most NRL clubs are doing that now.
Yeah,
Could be an option though.
I haven't heard it in the NRL yet. Super Rugby's an interesting space to be trialing it.
Yeah.
I've got so many questions about it, but I just wanted to bring it up with you just because you're more recently removed from the game. So I wanted to know if you and you have
I
had.
definitely had the last year I was playing there. I had a white mouth guard and it had data in it, and all the boys were wearing it.
Yeah, interesting. Lukey, you got anything on it?
It sounds like, just going off the Super Rugby aspect of it, World Rugby invested $2 million in smart mouthguard technology. So it sounds like the game, rugby union itself, has sort of funded the research to sort of get this happening from the quick article that I've found here.
Yeah, gotcha.
Does that help the players through the game, or it goes the other way?
No, the other way.
So that's smart.
It's
eh?
protection.
Very
Yeah,
clever.
it's protection. It's covering themselves. It's giving themselves more information and more data to better protect the players and then show in moving forward.
There's
It's-
the health and safety thing.
Yeah,
before
yeah.
it,
Look, and there's a part of it where like it's covering themselves, but there's a part of it that's purely like
Yeah,
at its
looking after the
core
boys
trying
as
to
well.
look after the
Yeah,
players and
yeah.
trying to figure it out. Like it is going to be a space that develops more in the next couple of years. We're obviously a lot more focused on it than when me and you started in the under 20s, Piercy.
Well, no,
and how long it's come. Yeah, now. So yeah, the more information, the better. I think for the players.
It stemmed from ice hockey,
Okay.
from what this article is saying. So 20% reduction in concussion, apparently, according to an
I
ice
seen
hockey
a
study.
stat. Have a look at this too, Lukey, as we're bringing up the next topic. There was a really drastic decrease in concussions in the NFL this year too, like a significant number, 17% or something like that. Have a look at it and see if they trialed anything similar or if it had anything to do with it. But I remember watching that thinking that was such a big number. This one comes from King Aiden Juju. An idea for grand final week. We talked about having the week off the back of the NFL, how they have a week and it gives the opportunity for everyone to be fully fit. The week before the grand final with all the knocked out teams, you could have an NRL sort of skills weekend. Our man Roger Fabry,
He wants to do the speed ride.
he's always wanted to do the race. Just quickly, Lukey, going back
Do you
to
want me
you.
to chip in? There's
Yeah,
some interesting
go
data
ahead.
on it because you know about all the changes that they've had. Obviously,
Yes.
the kickoff was a big one.
Yeah,
so they call that the dynamic kickoff.
Yep.
Returns increased 57% in the regular season. There were 7 kickoffs returned for touchdowns. The new rule slowed the average player's speed as intended, which led to a lower concussion rate, down 43%
Wow.
from 2021 to 2023.
And that's just kickoffs?
That's just the kickoff. It's
Yep.
down 17% overall for the season.
Wow. That's huge.
Interesting.
Wow. So that's that was they tweaked the kicking rule where you didn't have a run up. They were finding that.
Well, that's what they're trying to do with the kickoffs
yeah.
in NRL now, isn't it?
Yeah. Interesting data. Got a lot of rugby league fans, diehard traditionalists that'll be listening to that data.
What are the fans saying
Shut
about
up.
the-
They don't like it.
Yeah, it just takes away. I don't like it.
Yeah.
Takes away the whole.
Oh, it will be so
weird.
weird to get rid of the kickoff for us.
Yeah.
It's quite funny. The article refers to they've like taken the hip drop out of the NFL as well.
Yeah. Yeah, they try to crack down on the hip drop. No, not to the extent. They had a couple of bad ones at the back end of not the season just gone, the season before. But going quickly back, let's circle back to King Aiden. He's talking about having an NRL skills weekend, similar to what they have in the NFL. You could do the race. You could do some sort of kicking challenges he's got here. So like drop goals, place kicking, find out who the best sharpshooter is, stuff like that.
Let's go straight to the point. Who, honestly, as players in the off season, you know, I mean, if you get knocked out the week before or 2 weeks before, you're in fucking Bali or honestly, you're not hanging around to do a fucking kick the fucking Goalpost challenge, are you?
What about for you know what? And that's always been the hardest bit for the race to get done.
Yeah.
Because and Roger said this before, people finishing at different times of the year. So just say, for example, you get knocked out and you don't make the 8 compared to a team who gets knocked out in the preliminary final and then would be footy fit going into it.
I had the conversation with Roger
about
this when he was first talking about it in the media, and I had a chat with him about it. And the other side of the coin is like what clubs, especially if they've been knocked out the last round of the comp, the grand final's 4 weeks later.
Yep.
So even if it's on the third weekend, players that are due back in training in 6-7 weeks or contracted on 800,000. What clubs are going to push for them to?
Yeah, good point.
There'll be that sort of thing too. So it wouldn't be that easy to do with injuries and risk of injuries while they're doing off seasons and that type of stuff.
All it would take is one little tweak of a calf or a hammy, and it'll just be done.
Well, there's that, and then the other side is how many players that actually want to do it when they're got their
put their name on the line.
We'll just even their 6 weeks off.
Yeah.
Maybe I'm just lazy, but. There'd be a few. Obviously, the fast guys would enjoy and relish in that.
Yep.
Yeah, I mean, there'd be plenty of guys that just want to get the fuck away from footy, wouldn't there?
Yeah. Yeah, you're right. No, it's a good point.
Obviously, this weekend is the Indigenous versus the Māoris.
Yep.
Is there an avenue, do you think, where they could play this game the week before the grand final and you just don't have you got 2 teams where you just can't get the players from?
No, it's an interesting space of, let's fast forward to that then. We're going to talk about the All-Star game. And we've got it on the weekend, and I'm hearing chat that they're potentially looking at scrapping this game moving forward. Being a proud New Zealand Māori, even though I grew up here in Australia, got the opportunity to represent my New Zealand Māori in 2010, my debut year. Back then it was a different setup, so we just had an exhibition game against England. But going back to New Zealand and being able to delve into my culture, it's a huge game for us. It's awesome. I would love to have had it. And I know the Indigenous boys appreciate it just as much as us. I was actually in camp yesterday chatting to a couple of people, caught out with our man Troy Savage.
How good.
And he's been doing some mobility and some strength work with him. Yeah, he's been in camp now for the last 5 years. And I've always suggested this. Even though I think it's huge for our culture and I love the game, I don't think the casual, like the everyday fans, as invested as we are, and that's understandable, right? So I would say do it every other year. I think you've got to find some compromise sometimes when it comes to things like this. So I suggested, remember when the Nines started in 2014 and everyone was pumped for it and it was like a new thing and everyone was excited? Then after about 3 or 4 years, we got over it. Yeah. And it's sort of started like that with the All-Stars, especially when they started the New Zealand Māori versus Aboriginal concept. Everyone was excited for it to begin with. Now it's been happening a bit and you don't always get the stars every year. So I think if you had a gap year, don't completely scrap it, but have a gap year, and then therefore you guys like, prime example now is Kalen, who's playing for his first time since 2020. Maybe he's more excited to play when there's a gap year and rather than making himself available every year, because you could potentially miss a 4-year window if you miss it.
I disagree. I go back to what we spoke about at the start of the show around culture and about the inclusiveness and the way the game's going. Like I'm sure if you asked one of the Aboriginal boys or you are Maori, and you just spoke about it, they'd want it every year, wouldn't they?
Oh, I want it every year.
And you spoke about the wider range of fans, but that's just the way it is. It's about investing in the cultures that we have in the game. Yep. And that's their time, that's their people, that's their chance for their cultures, the Aboriginal people and the Maoris to get amongst it. And whoever's there, even if the rest of the fans don't want to turn up, you're getting a house full of fans at Parramatta Stadium.
They pack it out every time.
And you need that in the game. We're not going to... You close off those type of cultures, it filters down. You start to get pushback from young kids and that. You want to open up all cultures to the game. So I'm all for it.
Yeah. Mate, let me clarify as well. I would love to have the game every year. I'm just trying to come up with a compromise because I have a feeling it's leaning this way. So I'm trying to figure out a way where we can still keep the game in some format, because I think... I am worried with all the chat over the last couple of years is that they're going to try to scrap it all together. So I'm trying to, my thing is, if I was because I was never a guy that could, I never would have made I never made the Kiwis in my career, Piercy, but I probably would have been a chance to make the Māoris most years, depending on, especially if some of the stars who played for New Zealand in October and December, they might have turned it down. That would open up the opportunity for me to probably play a lot of these games. So I would have loved it, but I just hope they don't scrap it all together. That's my big thing with it, and that's what I'm worried about.
No, the game needs it. For sure.
And what about and we've talked a lot about this and the fixture is with trying to implement international footy like Samoa and Tonga, getting that rivalry going. Maybe we go every other year.
Four-game, four-team series as an add-on to all the test matches. Imagine
potentially,
that. The best Indigenous boys after the season against a Tongan side. That'd be some serious contest.
The Tongan Samoan, we say this all the time. We talk about it all the time. They've got to figure out a way. When you I guess bring up the numbers of the Polynesian influence, I would say, this is just a guess, 30 to 40% of them are either Samoan or Tongan descent. And then you've got, obviously, the Fijians, the game's going in Papua New Guinea, Cook Islands, and Indigenous Māori. But Samoan and Tongan presence right now in our game is as strong as it's ever been, and they've got to figure out a way to get that rivalry going. So maybe we do a year-for-year thing.
Mini Origin series, but Islander series.
Something like that, yeah. Cool. I think there's a space for it for sure. And like you're saying, they're celebrating the cultures and they're only going to get stronger and stronger. The All-Stars team, the lists are out. We mentioned Kalen. Let's start off the back with the Māori All-Stars. Kalen plays for his first time since 2020. They've got a number of fullbacks playing, though, Juju. So Chance Nickel-Klogstad, who normally plays fullback for the Warriors, he's playing 6. Cody Nicarima's in the halves. Dane Gagai's playing in the centres. He's represented both cultures before, so obviously means a lot to him.
True.
I seen Chance Nickel-Klogstad said James Fisher-Harris was a huge part of Webster letting the boys represent it this year. I think he was pretty...
some pushback.
Well, he went in there and just, talked about the importance for the culture, which I, love to hear from Fish.
Fisher, eh?
the new big recruit.
This is what we're doing.
They got Fish. They got Royce Hunt. Jeremy Marshall King ran into him yesterday. He's looking as fit as hell. I'm a big Jeremy Marshall King fan too, by the way. Yeah. Jordan Ricky, Jacob Laden, really good team, and they've even got Keanu Kinney, that live wire off the bench for the Titans. So not a bad team there for the New Zealand Māori All-Stars. As for the Indigenous, Jaden Campbell, he'll play in this game just like his old man Preston did. He'll be partnering Niwai Puru in the halves. The halfback is joined by his brother, Hohepa. They've also got allegiances and they could represent both teams. They play at the Sharks in the lower grades. And then you've got Hammer at the back, Lafiana Khan Pereira, Jack Whiten in the centres, Tyron Munro, Connor Watson playing hooker. And Josh Curran and Dylan Lucas. We talked about Dylan Lucas before. I think Dylan Lucas is in for a huge year. So a number of star players still in this game, even though we're missing some really big names like Latrell and the likes. Who are you excited to see sort of in this first hit out of the year for some meaningful footy in this All-Stars game?
Yeah, a few names there. Jack Whiten, I love him. I think we all love him as a player. He's been a seasoned rep player and Jack Whiten was a name that stood out for me. He's a bit of the leader in that team by the sounds of it. Our mate Connor Watson, he's a proud Indigenous boy himself and such a good team, man. So he'll be leading the culture there, I'm sure, at training.
Big year for Connor too.
Massive.
Cheese is out. Sam Walker's out for the first 10 weeks, so he will be in for a cracker start of the season.
What a competitor, eh? He's just had such a good career and been so adaptable in so many different positions. Love Connor, known him for a long time and he'll be the heartbeat there at the Chooks again this year. But I know how proud he is as an Indigenous man. The culture does a lot of stuff in the communities with his boots and everything every year for the culture. So,
Dylan Lucas, was he a part of the Knights, or have you watched him? When was he coming through the grades or at all when you were back at the Knights? Or was that too long ago?
Yeah, so he was a young kid when I left. Trained pre-season, hadn't played NRL yet. Good little insight on him. I was chatting to Pete O'Sullivan, who's a recruitment officer up at Newcastle now. He's done the rounds. He's been nearly everywhere, I think. Yeah,
and killed it everywhere he's gone.
Yeah, so I knew Sully obviously well when I came into first grade. He was, a couple of years after, he was at the Chooks. But I had a chat with Sully and he gave Dylan Lucas a massive rap saying he's a future Origin player.
Well.
And Sully's he's got a pretty good eye for for talent. So he's obviously getting plenty of raps up there at Newcastle. For memory,
Had a cracking season last year.
Back row most of the time.
Yeah, back row. Played a bit in the centres.
He was a centre coming through.
Was he?
So
Okay.
For memory, playing the juniors, he was always a sort of back row centre, but he was more of a centre.
Yep.
He's obviously found his little niche there, put weight on, and he had a huge year last year for the Knights there.
I'm hearing they might be moving Frizz, potentially playing a little bit more middle this year.
Yeah, right.
And then they've also got
It's a smart move, I think.
You know that, yes, I think it's a good move too with the way the game's going. And I really like that Kai Pearce-Paul. I think Kai Pearce-Paul and Dylan Lucas could be arguably the best back row combination, one of the best young up-and-coming back row combinations in the game.
I'd like to see him get a bit more out of Pearce-Paul. I played against him over there at Wigan and he was a superstar, and then he's got such a good offload on him, and he's got a little bit more than I think we saw of him last year. He had a good year, but I'd love to see his halves, if they can find, especially with Kalen there, just using him a bit better, because one-on-one he's lethal, and then he's got that late offload that they need to start playing off a little bit more.
Kalen only started floating around at the back end of the season with it, didn't he? Like early on, they were sort of just using him. I'm with you. I don't think it suited his game. They were just using him to lay a line. They're giving it to him early, and no one was really supporting him.
Mate, bringing him back on cross plays and change the directions anywhere he can get his big offload away. I'll be using him like that.
Yeah.
Even like you said, with KP's speed, where he can burn defenders and isolate one-on-one. Imagine KP in the halves up there. You got Dylan Lucas and then big Pearce-Paul and then Frizzell through the middle.
Yep.
That's lethal. That's a good pack.
Mate, Knights are a team. When we started doing the predictions last week, I'm like, the more you go through the team, the more exciting. For me, I worry about your position, mate, the one that you made famous, and I don't think they've really replaced it since
Joey
you've
made
left.
it famous, not me.
Well, they haven't replaced it since you've left anyway. Yeah. Like Joey's obviously the king up there, but they haven't been able to fill that jersey since you've left.
Dylan Brown, they're talking.
Dill Brown. You're not as confident Dill Brown can play 7 week in, week out from your first episode.
So 6 and 7s the other day I spoke about. Toddy asked me the question, was Dylan Brown worth 1.2? And I said, yeah, if a club's willing to pay a player a certain amount of money, that's what they're worth.
Of course.
I also said that I don't think Dylan Brown's a 7.
Yep.
There was no blight on him as a player. I love him as a player. I'd like to see him get a little bit more involved and compete a bit more play for play, because he's got the ability to do that.
Yeah, of course, yeah.
But yeah, I don't see him as a 7. So I just said,
so would you only pay 1.2 for a 7, or would you pay for a 6? What do you reckon the market is for a 6, 9 or 8?
If he gets 1.2 as a 6, good luck to him.
Yep.
And if a team's willing to pay that because they need a half, he's one of the best available. That was what the conversation was situated around. But at the same time, an advice to Dylan Brown, just be careful where you go, because if you go with that price tag and as a player that's probably not as comfortable on the ball as a 7 and you're the main show, it could be difficult.
A lot of pressure in that jersey, as you know.
Well, he's a better player, I think, in my eyes, playing as the second fiddle. And then, as I said, I'd love to see him grow his game. And he's done that in periods of his career. A couple of years ago, 3 years ago, he was nearly the best 6 in the game.
Yeah.
He's getting involved.
I think he led the league in try assists at one point in that 22 or something season.
And they've dried up a little bit over the last couple of years. Probably change of coach and new systems this year. I think we'll see the best of him again.
Yep.
But yeah, I just think just be careful where you go, or put yourself in a situation. Good luck to you, get as much fucking money as you can.
Yeah.
Put yourself in a situation that suits your game, because some players are 6s and 7s. It's 6 and a specific 7. It's a different role.
Right. Sound advice. I'm hearing Dylan Lucas is front runner for the 6 jersey as well. So even more so. Like, he's not going to be an organisational guy. He's got a background playing in the halves, but I don't think he's played in the halves since like 15. So if you were going to pair Dill with Dylan, there's not really an out and out organiser between the two, is there? Would there be?
At Newcastle?
Yeah, like if they did, just say, for example, he is signed, and you end up going with Fletch.
Well, Jack Cogger's there. Jack Cogger's there, and Jackson Hastings is still there. I think...
And if they're buying Dill, they're going to buy him for 7, is my point. They're not buying him for 6. I don't think so.
Having him with a Jack Cogger and then Kalen could work.
Okay.
As long as Dylan takes more responsibility and grows his game and goes up there as the sort of, not the main guy, give himself freedom, but still be that man on that price tag with Kalen. It's a tidy little... I
know where you're going now. Sweet.
It's a better benefit for Newcastle with him than without him.
Yep.
But how they use him will, would be the right. It is up for, what am I going to say? It's up for discussion.
Yeah, no, well, that's the point of what you're doing, is just trying to figure out. What do you got, Lukey?
For the listeners, did you mean Fletcher Sharp or Dylan Lucas in the halves?
Oh, sorry, did I say Dylan Lucas?
Yeah.
Sorry, Fletcher Sharp. Did I?
I was going to say when you said it.
Oh, did I rattle you? I was like,
I saw him yesterday. He's definitely not a 5'8".
okay, yeah, sweet, my bad. Fletcher Sharp. There'll be people that are already writing that have sent the text in already,
Dylan Lucas, best back row, going to play Origin. Now he's playing 5'8".
and then they're pressing the button, and then Lukey corrects him. Let's go to Kalimpong and the New Zealand Māori All Stars. A couple of players had career years last year, or really, I guess, younger guys now taking it to the next level. Will Warbrick was outstanding for the Warriors. Can't wait to see Keanu Kinney in his second full year as well. A lot of chat around him and what's going to happen with the Titans and our mate Fozzie up there.
Yep.
So any players in particular looking forward to seeing for the New Zealand Māori team? And with Kalen, your relationship with Kalen playing in this game, how do you see that for preparation to sort of start the year for Kalen?
So I remember the last time Kalen played in 2020, it was when me and him started the year at 7 and 6 for the Knights. So it was his first game at 6.
Yep.
Just a little bit of a flashback, because I remember it was his first time he played and he had the 6 jersey on.
Yeah.
So I remember chatting to him straight after the game, because we were playing in the halves that year, and remember he explored 6 for about 6 rounds, and then they put him back to fullback.
Yep.
The Knights there. So what a good thing for the game to have Kalen playing in this arena. Obviously good for the team itself, and what a player. I'm excited to see how KP goes again this year at the Knights. We know he's always going to play well himself, and some of the footy he played at the back end of last year was mind-blowing. He basically carried the team into the finals at the back end of the year with his individual performance. I remember that finals game against Cowboys, was it?
Yes.
He was unbelievable.
Yeah.
In a losing
He was a 10 out of 10 in that game, and they still lost.
In a losing team, but he's going through that phase now, and I only ran into him the other week with his missus down in Manly. It was good to see him. I hadn't seen him for ages, but he looks so mature now, and just with his leadership, he's at that sweet spot of his career. So it's going to be really cool to watch this year for the Knights to make the finals. To make a grand final and get what they deserve up there after a lot of change and hard work. It's going to be interesting to see how KP gets everyone around him going this year.
Interested, just going back to the first bit. What were your conversations like? Different, like with him as a 6? Were there anything structurally that you wanted to do differently with him when he played 6 compared to when he played fullback? Would you communicate more with him as a 6 than you would as a fullback?
Yeah, probably
week to week.
Probably the struggle that KP had when he went to 6 was we all know how flamboyant he is and instinctive and plays what he sees, and the benefit you get off him off kick returns and that type of stuff with open space. Probably the reason we struggled a little bit at the start of that year when K went to 6 was just obviously less room, more responsibility, having to worry about the kick, which took out a bit of his instinct on plays before, that type of stuff. But he could play 6 in any side and still be a great player. And we sort of changed things pretty fast that year and put him back to fullback because we were losing, and we didn't.
Copped a couple of bad knocks too, didn't he?
He copped a couple of bad knocks. That's that's true.
Yeah.
So that obviously more defense in the front line sort of knocked him around a little bit, but what a player. Honestly, can't speak highly enough of him. I remember when he first came in, and he was. I remember saying it to people, he's the best player I've ever played with at that age. Just like he was just.
That's a huge rap too. Because he played with some good ones, Piercy.
Just off the cuff, just flamboyant, just the way he approached everything. He was just a cool kid, and it's the way he played his footy. And
still pretty cool.
He's the coolest dude ever. You want fashion tips? You go see KP. I'm wearing clothes from fucking Kmart. He's got the fucking Gucci kid. He's the grouse.
It's never been my bread and butter either. Oh, you're right. I seen him at the golf day. He come and did our golf day at the end of last year as well, and only to a small degree spent some time with KP over the years with content. And you can tell he's in a good space. Yeah. He's super locked in. He was going through all that sort of drama at the back end of the year with prioritising having a big preseason with the Knights at the time too, and you can tell like he's got a different mindset for this year, and I reckon I'm excited to see him play in this game.
They'll be close. They'll be thereabouts to Newcastle if they can get, as we said, if we can get their right style of footy right.
Yeah.
With KP leading him up there, they've got the ability there.
Bradman Best is crucial. He needs to stay healthy. Couple of when he played last year, they were fucking so much better.
He's got Jeff Fennick as a bodyguard now too, hasn't he? So. I'll be walking around confident as well.
Yeah. He's got the chain and that now.
That
too.
was the best. How cool was that chain?
It is the best.
Do you reckon Jeff gave him that?
Oh, I don't know. You know him better than me. Was he a young fellow when you were sort of coming through the grades? He's got a bit of swag about him too. He's I've met him a couple of times. He's a pretty reserved and quiet sort of guy.
Very humble guy. Yeah.
And that's a bit Larry. That's a bit.
Nah, champion guy, Bradman. What you see is what you get. The way he plays his footy, he's a staunch sort of stand-up type of guy. Doesn't save too much. Really rock solid sort of dude, and it's the way he plays his footy. He had a great. Came back in Origin 3. Was it Origin 3 nearly won us the game, didn't he?
He did. He's the one that come up with that play for Jerome.
To Jerome.
Yeah.
So.
And the year before in the dead rubber, he played awesome as well.
Freak.
Yeah.
Coming from the juniors, they reckon he was unbelievable.
Yeah. I remember all the
really
raps on him. Yeah. Sorry.
I was just going to say, now you're seeing that benefit. He came hit the ground running when he came into NRL.
Yeah.
Went through a bit of the roller coaster with Newcastle, but last couple of years, he's an out-and-out rep player.
Just those powerful hammies, isn't it?
How big's his legs, yeah.
All right, here we go. Same game multi for the Indigenous versus Māoris All-Stars. Of course, I'm going to go with the New Zealand Māori. We're going to be going the New Zealand Māori head-to-head. The line is -4.5. -4.5, $1.95 for the Māori All-Stars. Plus $4.5, $1.85. So there's been some money for the Indigenous. I'm just going to go the head-to-head. Keep it nice and simple. And I'm going to go Will Warbrick. He had a cracker season for the Melbourne Storm last year. He can score any time for the New Zealand Māori. But I also like, not only in this game, but for the season, Tyrone Munro. I think he's in for a big season for South Sydney. I think he'll be playing outside Jack White, and so a nice little flick pass. Tyrone Munro anytime. That same game multi, Māori All-Stars head-to-head, Tyrone Munro anytime, Will Warbrick anytime, $6.50. All right, let's get to the news and some big news with a really emotional final farewell for Christian Welch over the last couple of days, Piercy. So Storm prop Christian Welch has opened up on the debilitating back injury that forced him into medical retirement with 2 years remaining on his Melbourne contract. Melbourne head coach Craig Bellamy described it as a privilege to have coached Welch for over a decade, while CEO Justin Rodsky said the 30-year-old should be incredibly proud of everything he's achieved in our game. Memories of Christian Welch sort of coming through in the Melbourne system. Had a couple of really important series. I sort of remember that 2020 series in particular.
2017.
Yeah.
Debuted.
Christian Welch, what a player.
Great player. You only have to listen to all his teammates and from all different types of personalities and the way that they speak about him as a leader. I actually ran into Welshie at Oktoberfest.
You've run into everyone.
Mate, this is the days when I was drinking too. So,
you ran into Oktoberfest over in Germany.
I was in Oktoberfest in Germany.
Yeah.
And I was pretty twisted, to be honest with you. These are the good old bad days.
Yeah.
And I remember us having a bit of a weird chat, walking into the toilets. Can't remember what we spoke about. Seemed like a champion guy. Haven't had too much to do with him besides that moment.
Yep.
But as I said, all reports and the way he plays, the way he holds himself at one of the best clubs in the game, respect he holds in Queensland, from all his teammates, just shows what a leader he is. He's a bit of a spokesman in the community with the NRL community around player welfare. He's always backing up the boys in all different situations. And by all reports, is he a lawyer or is it?
I don't know. Lukey will look into his background. I reckon, when it comes to discussing the game and having an opinion on the game, and some of the really the issues that not every player's across, I think he always
takes the lead, doesn't he?
He takes the lead. He always explains it. There's never been an occasion where I haven't heard a view, like one of his views or his opinions on a certain topic and gone, disagreed with it.
No.
He's really articulate. I think he's going to be, I think guys like Clint Newton and Tommy Simons and Jamie Buhrer would love to have a guy like that. I think he's just going to be as important life after footy for the game as he was for the game of playing, because he always did it the right way. I enjoyed watching him. He's old school. He called himself the White Rhino, the last of his kind,
and squeezed the lemon too, didn't he?
He did.
I saw a quote the other day. He was a guy. He said, which is great for kids listening. Didn't make any rep teams. Probably was one of those guys that had to do everything right to play well, and that's why he's such a great team man. He was obviously the leader up there. But But yeah, he squeezed the lemon out of his ability and played for his country, state, won competitions and played great at all those levels. So congratulations, mate. I do remember all his kick pressures the last couple of years I was playing. He was really good at that.
He was.
Those Melbourne players that were just like super good. Everyone does kick pressure, but Melbourne would just like, especially when you're off the back foot, not winning the ruck. And as a kicker, and he'd just get you there, then a little one in the ground. That's what I remember of him.
But those are the...
Thanks for all those broken ribs, my man, and congratulations.
Congratulations, Welchie, the White Rhino. So for Bellamy to describe him as a privilege to have coached, like Bellamy doesn't say that all that often. So he must be, he'll be really important and be missed out there at Melbourne.
Just on his LinkedIn, he's got a quite impressive LinkedIn profile.
Yep.
His education, he's had an MBA from UNSW.
Yeah, wow.
He's been to the Stockholm School of Economics. He's done stuff in Berlin. He's done stuff through Harvard, University of Melbourne, Bachelor of Commerce, Finance and Management, a double major. It's very impressive.
Don't worry about RLPA. He'll be running the game in 5 years. He'll be taking over after Volandis. He could be our guy.
Let's put it in perspective. Retire, get 2-year payout for medical retirement, and you've been to Harvard. Send me a number, bro. We're best friends.
Off the back of that, I think I saw Guru talking about Melbourne can apply for financial compensation and it equates to about 400,000 in their cap this year.
Yeah.
Interesting.
It's not like, with these late retirements, there's not really much you can do with that money anyway. It's more so, I guess, for the following years. That's where they'll sort of be able to, make some moves moving forward. But even though he's not the player he was even a couple of years ago before he did his Achilles injury, it felt like at the back end of that season in either 22 or 23, you miss these guys in the club, like the day-to-day stuff, Drew, like the locker room. I went to Munster's wedding. He was the best man in the MC.
Yeah.
He was the best man. Yeah, he was the best man at Money's wedding and the speech. And I remember when he got up and the applause that he got and how funny he was. He won the night. He was fucking so funny. And that was like that was like a moment where I was like, I really missed the locker room feel of like how it was in a long time. Yeah. Having guys like that who were so important, and he's going to be missed in the locker room for sure.
Yeah, impressive dude, isn't he? Like you just said, he's got the respect of all the rugby league community. He's obviously super intelligent. He's way better than us.
Let's hope he doesn't start a podcast.
That's the podcast. Sixes&Sevens is dead. Actually, you want to come on and be our marketing manager?
Let's get to the Warriors. They announced, I think a lot of people, I sort of predicted these two being co-captains. You spent some time with this guy as well, so it's a perfect episode to get you in, Piercey, at the moment. Mitch Barnett and James Fisher-Harris. We've got a message here from Damas. Mitch Barnett kind of reminds me of a New South Wales version of Kevin Campion. He seems to play the sort of leadership role in the pack for the Warriors, so having him and JFH should be immense for those young Warrior forwards coming through. And then I seen this comment on the Warriors Instagram page, which I loved, and it came from Heidi Atama on the Warriors Instagram page. The nickname for the two co-captains is the Fishnet, because nothing is getting through that. So Fishnet, Barnett and Fisher-Harris, I love it. Co-captains, and even though he's new to the club, he was an obvious choice. And Mitch Barnett, mate, he's come such a long way since he was a bit rogue back in the day and a bit loose. And he's had a big couple of years at the Warriors.
Real good mate of mine. Out of my days in Newcastle, he's probably my closest mate from up there. We had a really good bond. You talk about two leaders, and when you said those two names, name a tougher co-captaincy. Like I can't off the top of my head. That's what they're going to bring. Mitch is so tough, a great footballer. He always has been. He was in the Newcastle system when the club was going through a bit of turmoil, a lot of wooden spoons. Mitch was always the leader there and the best player in the team. And I think the move from Newcastle to Warriors, he'd say it himself, is probably the best thing for him. Well, it's worked out to be the best thing for him. He's now the captain of the club. He's played State of Origin, played for his country. But I think he was a local kid from Newcastle. He's from up Wingham near Taree.
Okay. Because I remember he debuted at the Raiders early on.
He did, yeah.
Yeah.
So Newcastle junior, went to Canberra, and
Okay.
came back to Newcastle. But I think getting out of that probably system that he was used to, challenging himself in New Zealand. It's brought the best out of him, and
I love him as a player. Always have.
so tough. And
Yeah.
the other thing too with him, just as a footballer, like his leg speed and footwork in the middle of the ruck there, he's sort of the way the game is now. He's the perfect model.
Yeah.
And one-on-one defender, he's so tough. Never misses. So.
I don't know if you've seen the clip that we did. We sort of just took the mickey about him being cut up and bandages and all that for trial games, and we're like, Mason's like, get him off the
Serial
field.
killer, Mitch.
We're like, get him off the field. Why is he playing? He's got busted. He looks like May said. It looks like it's round 27, but this is the reason. It's a trial. He's leaving it all out there. He doesn't know any other way but to go hard, and that's the reason he's the leader of the club. And James Fisher-Harris has been doing that for years at the Panthers as well.
Yeah, like we go back to it, like the two co-captains, who's tougher? I have to look it up. Normally there's a half and a middle, but to have them two as your leaders, you know you're going to turn up every week.
Big time.
The closest I can find just off the dome is Cronulla back when they had Gal and Wade Graham.
Oh yeah, that's a good combo.
That's a good little challenge.
Even last year, Dal Finucane and McInnes.
Guinness, yep.
Yeah,
Yep.
actually that's hard to beat.
Yeah. Cronulla, they've got a
These guys are
DNA.
in the grand final anyway, Mitch and Fisher.
Yeah. They might have taken the podium, but Gal and Wade are right up there.
Big time.
All right, and let's stay with the Sharks. Ronaldo Mulitalo, he's set to continue his pursuit as the all-time try-scoring leader at the club. He's extended for 3 years. Now, there was rumours that Broncos were interested in him and the Sharks were potentially floating him around. My question to you, Drew, because, we've already done our preview, but I think the Sharks, they're right there. They're right there. If they get Adam this year, are they a genuine contender in your eyes, the Sharks, or do you still think you need to see a little bit more from key positions like obviously Nico stands out?
I've got Sharks finishing top 3. My top 4 to go off the cuff is Melbourne first, Penrith second, Sharks third, Broncos fourth.
It's a good top 4, Drew.
You like that?
We've got the same top 4.
So,
I like it.
That's my top 3, and I think they can give it a genuine crack. We're only not going to keep plugging 6 and 7s, but we're on.
Keep plugging it. Keep plugging it.
We're on the show with Toddy the other day, breaking down Cronulla. We love Nico as a player, but we both see him as a 6.
Yep.
He can no doubt play 7, but we see if they're going to hold up the trophy on grand final day, we see Trindle as the 7. If he can stay consistent, being that leader there and being that on-ball half, and then just let Nico play, take the pressure off him, let him be that player that he is, that got him into Origin. If they do that in the big moments with their pack and their outside backs and the way they're coached, they're a premiership favourite, no doubt.
It's only trials, and I don't know if you've seen the games on the weekend, but there's a clear DNA there with Fitzy.
Yep.
You can he's been. I got mocked and I got hammered last year because I had Sharks being one of the better teams to fall outside of the 8. I just was unsure of key positions, and then I thought they had good players at every position, but not there's not really like an out-and-out star in the team. And Nico had obviously won the Dally M, but he hadn't done that, proved that over a long period of time. That was my biggest knock. They proved me wrong, mate. Rather than having like one star player, they've probably got a better roster across the board in like 7s and 8s out of 10s across the board in every position.
Fanua Blake, that's the biggest one.
He's going to be huge.
He's the one, as much as they're halves, it's going to be dependent, unfortunately or fortunately, it always is. It's the halves in the big moments, how you kick and how you handle pressure. But if they're going to win the comp, they needed a Fanua Blake. And that's, for me, that's their X factor. Just everything he brings. He looks fit. I saw a photo of him the other day. He looks fit and hard, and just his footwork, I think, it's that little bit of an icing on the cake. And when you bring a gorilla like him in, that alpha male, brings everyone else's levels up. You're going to see Toby Rudolph. You're going to see, give me some help, bro.
Kafusi. Oregon Kafusi. Braden Hamlin-Uele. He's shot out of the line and tried to whack fish on the way. He's just been their X factor off the bench. Yeah. He'll be a huge beneficiary with Adam starting the game and playing big minutes.
It allows them to, gives them different leg speed, different types of bodies coming at you when Fanua's always going to be that main man and take everyone on personally.
Tom Hazelton as well.
Tom Hazelton,
I like him. Yeah. I think he's going to get a big contract after this year because he's not going to. They're not going to. I don't think they're going to be able to keep him.
Isn't he?
Mate, he's good. He's got really good, like, sort of weird deception. I've seen the Hello Sports boys talking about it, and I commented on him, and they were sort of taking the mickey about him being what do they call a cult hero. But he can play, mate.
He's good.
He can play. And
Got
he's
a couple of like sort of unorthodox tries, 10 out, didn't he?
Yeah.
Big bump, and people underestimate him a bit.
yeah.
You gotta love a big.
He's got a nice little swerve on him. Yeah, he's we talked about Welshie before. He calls himself the White Runner, the last of his kind. Bit of a toiler through the middle, with a lot of Pacific Islanders coming through and dominating those positions. Like you think of Tino Payne, Adden, of Tongan Samoan descent.
Yep.
Big Tom Hazelton, he's in for a payday. I'm telling you. I think Newcastle have been talking to him, and I think Flano likes him is trying to get him at the Dragons. So. All right, let's get to the team list, and let's start off with the Sharks, mate. They kick off tonight, 7:50, Raiders versus Sharks at GIO Stadium. And both teams are a little bit more stacked than the previous weeks. They've got a few more starters. So Sticks has chucked in Fogarty. He'll pair with Ethan Strange in the halves. KO Weeks had a breakout season for him last year. He'll go to fullback. And they've got Papali'i, Starling, Mooney up front, Huddy Young's back. As for the Sharks, Nico, Braden, Fanua Blake, Britton Nicola, Teague Wilton. So this will be the major hit out before they go to Vegas in 2 weeks and open the season. These two teams, I don't think they're playing each other, but they're definitely a part of the Vegas teams. How do you see sort of this playing out for them? And what would you prefer, going back to the question I asked at the start of the episode, how many minutes are you looking to play as a Nico Hines, as a playmaker, chief playmaker in these trials? Did they mean a lot to you? And what were you trying to get out of trials as a half and a playmaker and organiser?
Yeah, well, every game means something to you, doesn't it? And I think the way the game is now and how physical and how hard everyone runs, if you go in there even in a trial game a bit underprepared, the risk for injury and a bit of embarrassment, and smacks you in the face. So even though it's a trial game, you don't have that external pressure as much. We both know that you're going in, it's a bit more relaxed. You haven't got the full blowtorch on you. You still got to, you're taking it serious and you're taking it for a genuine hit out. And as a half, you talked about how you feel. You want to have a good 60 minutes. That's the minutes. I reckon about 60 minutes.
You want to be able to get that second win, don't you?
Yeah, you get through the first half. You come off too early, you get nothing out of it.
Yep.
If you play too long, you might be
risk injury.
Risk for injury. But like I used to love trials in the fact that there's less pressure, but you want to play well and you want to build combination, because before you know it, you're in the big bright lights of round one and the media waiting to knife you.
There's plenty in that. Mate, we'll just quickly go through the teams. If there's any one player from each team that you're excited to see this year, just yell it out for each team. We've only got about 5 minutes to sort of go through the team list. The Knights versus Eels. So Fletcher Sharp, we talked about him. He'll be 5'8", not Dylan Lucas. And then we've got Jack Cogger in the half. So you mentioned that. He'll be the controlling it a little bit more. Greg Marzu's back. Kai Pearce-Paul, Tyson Frizzell. They're in the back row to begin with, but I reckon there's a world in which we see Dylan Lucas play on one of the edge and Tice through the middle. Will Price goes to fullback for Callum Ponga. What's your take on Will Price's year last year quickly?
Yeah, he was... Will's at a stage, I think, where the more game time he gets, the more he's going to adapt to NRL. But how's that going to look? Where's he going to play? If the full team's fit, does he get much of a game?
Do you think he can be a 14 and have an impact to the 14 and cover?
Definitely.
Yeah.
I think 14. He's a live wire. He's got great instincts, and by all reports up there, you can see the boys really love him. So he'll bring in a lot of energy to the team.
Yep.
I'll just go back to what I said. I think he's sort of a player, especially coming from Super League. The more games he gets to play consistently, he'll adapt to NRL. But is he going to get that up there? We'll have to see.
More starters for the Eels as well. Dylan Brown, he'll have to take charge because he's got young gun who sort of had the year off in Ronald Volkman in the half. So Dill Brown, this is the first look at Dill Brown, and he'll be, I guess, with all the noise about his contract situation, gets an opportunity to play without Mitch and, again, prove if he can be that chief playmaker.
Dylan Brown he'll be one in an 80-minute performance on the ball for a good paycheck.
Yeah.
This trial game for him is his origin.
Do you reckon, yeah, you're right, he could be Lukey. Before we get into the Cowboys versus Dolphins, sorry, mate, I'm just going to crack this. This one's at Cairns too, by the way, Friday, 8 p.m.
What are you drinking there?
This is the sugar-free coconut edition. This is
The coconut edition Red Bull.
Mickey. Have you got another can at the back there, Lukey, for us?
I can grab one from
Did
the
you drink
fridge.
one for yourself and not give one to Piercy?
Of course I did.
Coconut,
I asked him.
coconut Red Bull.
Do you want a coconut
Please.
edition? You're just going to have, sharesies. Cowboys versus Dolphins, mate. Friday, 8 p.m. at Barlow Park. These two teams not as strong. So a whole heap of starters missing here. This is the first trial. Not too much. Apologies for everyone who's looking for a deep dive into the Cowboys and Dolphins. They've got a lot of guys that won't be playing consistent first grade, but still be watching. It's, you're always looking for players of interest, young guys who are looking to make a mark. Cowboys and the Dolphins have a lot of these young players. Averillo and O'Sullivan are in the halves, for example, for the Dolphins. You got Carl Lawton at hooker and a number of names. Jackson Paulo, not Purdue. So. Yep, that'll be a watch for some youngsters that might be able to make a mark on the season in 2025. Warriors versus Storm. Warriors gone pretty hard in this one. They've got a close to a full strength team as best as possible with a couple of big players playing in the All-Stars team. Melbourne not so much with none of their stars playing, but we get to see Roger Tuivasa-Sheck, and he's been named on the wing both weeks, Piercy. I think Webster's going to look to play Roger Tuivasa-Sheck similar to Lomax at the Dragons last year. Play him on the wing and let him roam. I think that looks like it's going to be the game plan.
Yeah, I think that's the best way to play Roger. He actually did that if you want some flashback, he did that in 2013.
Trying to remove that from my
Yeah, I know.
that year from my memory, mate.
I honestly didn't bring it up for that. But,
Him and Minnie were swapping at the back end of the year, weren't they?
swapping. So basically what we did in yardage, Minnie would play as a fullback, got over halfway off set piece taps, going into good ball. Roger would come out the back.
What positions did you like to get him in? What was some of the favourite shape that you loved getting Roger in with that beautiful left and right foot step? You could step off either side.
Yeah, well, we had our good sequences that year, and we sort of had a good balance. So Roger just any chance he gets on a 3-on-2 or just early ball out the back of block plays and that type of stuff is lethal. I don't reckon there's many harder to defend against as a 3-man defender. Fast forward the tape a couple of years forward when I was at Newcastle and he was at the Warriors, he got me 2 tries on me. He got me. It was one of those games, when you look back on your career and just like you just wanted to get off the fucking field.
Or you end up in a few highlights packages, when they go like they show the best of and fuck, there's nothing. I'm on heaps of them. I'm on the bad end of Boydies. I'm on the bad end of GIs.
This is the worst game I played, I reckon, and I was just that, you're like heavy-legged going into warm-up and everything, and he got me twice off a scrum, just like left foot.
Oh.
So what I was going to say, any time he's on that 3-on-3 situation, he's unstoppable nearly.
You like the role? Because I know that Webster loves Chance, and I think Chance defensively and vocally is their number one option, and then you can have Rog popping up wherever.
Yeah, just let him go because the benefit you get from Roger in the backfield is his yardage carries too, right? Gets out of dummy half and he gets you on the front foot as an outside back. So where are they going to finish, the Warriors?
That's a tough one. Yeah. I'm a little bit worried about the Warriors. If it wasn't for the 2 through the middle that we talked about, I'd be a lot more worried about them. I think they're going to have to completely change their style of footy. I think they'll be pretty conservative early on without having Sean there as well, like that guy that can finish off. So like a little bit from the Luke Metcalf, he looked like he was, when a 6 goes in a 7 and they just completely lose their run game. I know it's only one game, but he was nice and controlled. But yeah, didn't see much. I thought when he was dynamic in 2023, he was killing short, like wide 4 short sides.
Yeah, that second receiver.
And I hope that doesn't leave his game once he becomes the organiser in the 7 jersey for the Warriors. Rabbitohs versus Sea Eagles. Where do you see him?
Yeah, that's why I asked. It's sort of a bit of the unknown. Like you said, with Sean Johnson leaving, a bit of a changeover of players there. They'll be tough. We just spoke about their leaders there. They'll be tough and physical. Maybe Roger will be the masterstroke.
Yeah.
Getting him around the balls. Losing Sean, you replace him with someone like Roger maybe.
Yeah, that could work.
Or bring back Stacey Jones.
I know Warriors fans have been calling for an SJ to come out of retirement. I don't think they're thinking Stacey.
He could still play easy.
Sean's going to be a funny watch throughout the year, whether he starts getting itchy, because he still looked good playing for the Kiwis at the back end of the year.
Yeah, he's a freak, isn't he?
Yeah. So if they're going well and someone
come
goes
back.
I don't know. We'll see. Rabbitohs versus Seagulls, Saturday 3:30, Industry Group Stadium. Again, similar to the Dolphins Cowboys games, a lot of guys that won't play consistent first grade throughout the year. Anyone to look out for off the top here? Not really, mate. Peter Mamazoulis probably, because he's going to take over from Cookie. In that 9 jersey, but then, a lot of stars are missing. Moving on to the Broncos versus Titans. This one, Sunday, 3:30 p.m. at Toowoomba Sports Ground. Similar. We got Fozzie, 7 and 6. AJ Brimson said there was chat around Fozzie potentially playing 14. I don't know if you've seen any of those rumours or even had a chat to Fozzie.
I don't like those rumours.
I hate those rumours. I'm not a fan. I think I haven't even had a chat to him about this yet, but we're going to be doing some stuff throughout the year with the great man. But Foz 7, AJ Brimson 6.
In camp yesterday with the All-Stars, with Jaden Campbell. Whole pre-season he's been at 6.
Yes, there you go. All right.
Interesting.
It's Keanu Kinney, AJ Brimson, Jaden Campbell, Kieran Foran. Who's the 176 round 1 for you?
Campbell at fullback.
Ooh. Over Kinney.
Sorry. Let me go. No. Brimson at fullback.
Yep.
Campbell at 6. Kieran at 7.
Okay. Keanu Kinney has to still bide his time?
Yep. I was thinking Campbell, I had a brain snap there. I would have put Campbell at fullback with Foz at 6, obviously. They had a 7 there, but they don't have a 7. So I'd be putting Kieran at 7. You go back to games last year, how well he played. The thing as well, tossing up Kieran to go to 14, he's their best leader there. It was nearly their best player last year.
Yep.
Of any of the wins that they had, he was the mastermind behind those wins. It does not make sense.
No.
I wouldn't even be contemplating a 330 game NRL superstar on the bench.
I guess what they were trying to compare it to is when Benji played off the bench at the back end of his career for South Sydney and had some success.
But they had Cody and Renner.
But that's exactly right. Exactly right. So they had a set 7, 6 and 1 and a proven Latrell Mitchell fullback, Cody Walker at 6 and Renault at 7. So those are top tier options in front of him.
You understand it if there's, as an older guy, you become that foil if there's better replacements. But if you're still the best option there and proven it only,
Agreed.
The season finished 8 months ago, you put him in there.
Agreed. I'm also hearing with some of the in the back row, like with some of the news in the back row at the Broncos, that Jack Jachevsky, apparently he's been going really well. Kobe Hetherington looks like he's going to play lock and they're going to move Paddy up front. But none of the big guns are playing for the Broncos. Let's get to the Bulldogs versus the West Tigers. Sunday, 5:30 p.m, Nostrada Jubilee Stadium. Bulldogs, not too much. Lockie Galvin's playing for the Tigers. Young Tellen De Silva. So no Luai, who was... he's been battling a bit of an ankle injury. Taruva's picked up a bit of an injury. We don't want to see Uppy Coruscant play much minutes at all. He doesn't need to. And the Bulldogs haven't got many of their stars as well. So not much to do there and break down in that game either. As for the Dragons versus the Roosters, that's at Nostrada. That's straight after. Is that the same ground? Yep. Double header. Sunday, 7:30. Flano's gone... close to full strength, it looks like. Gutho will be playing fullback. Moses Sully and Val Holmes in the centres. Kyle Flanagan and Lockie Ilias. We'll get the first look at that halves combination with Benny Hunt moving on. Jack DeBellin, Sua, Leilua, Emre Gula, Damien Cook. I think this is probably Flano's full strength team he's looking at here. So that'll be a good hit out and a good game to watch. As for the Roosters, Chad Townsend and Sandon Smith in the halves. Do you know much about this Robert Toya kid? I keep hearing about this Robert Toya, and apparently he's a young gun coming through for him.
Gun player. The thing with the Roosters, they've obviously got a big turnover of players with, well publicised 7 of their best players leaving, but they've probably got the best batch of sort of second tier, how do you word it?
Young kids,
younger kids that are coming in on the verge of first grade and will play. Rob Toya's one, Blake Steep's another one.
Yep.
Toby Rodwell's a really, really good halfback. Got to know a fair bit with a bit of time and a bit of stuff I've been doing there over the last 12 months.
By the way, Steve's playing in the Indigenous game as well on the weekend, so one to watch out for.
Real good player.
Yeah, I think you got a couple of games from last year.
He did. He played 2 games, or 2 or 3 games last year. But yeah, Rob Toyer there's a big opportunity for him to stamp a starting spot with all the transition of players. So then they're going to need those second tier boys to kick on this year, aren't they?
Yeah.
With all the transition of players. So I'm looking forward to watching how they go.
All right. That's it for this week, Drew. Thanks for coming in, mate. I really appreciate you filling in for Triple OG. Keep killing on the 6 and 7s. Give my best to the boys. Well, I'm giving my best to the boys at Hello Sports. And we'll do some stuff throughout the year for sure together again. And looking forward to watching the trials. That's it, mate. Thanks you very much.
Me, bro.
Chances are you're about to lose. For free and confidential support, call the number on the screen or visit the website.